Welcome to the Alabama Bass Trail Podcast, brought to you by Phoenix Boats. Now, here are your hosts, Alabama Bass Trail Program Director, Kate Donaldson.
Welcome in to the Alabama Bass Trail Podcast presented by Phoenix Boats. I'm Kay Donaldson, the director of the Alabama Bass Trail and the host for this week's podcast. And this is the podcast for February the 16th or your post-Valentine's Day podcast. And I hope that everyone was good to their Valentine. Made sure that you did the roses, the candy, the out to dinner, really nice dinner. Certainly, you did not make your Valentine cook dinner for you on Valentine's Day. We need to make sure that we're taking care of our Valentine because, as you know, Lake Jordan is right around the corner. And we need to be all caught up on all the nice things that we do because there is fishing to be done. And we need happy wives, happy girlfriends. We need them happy because it is fishing season. And we need to make sure everybody's happy because you know what they say, a happy wife is a happy life. So make sure that you've taken care of all of that. Man, I can't believe that it's Valentine's Day because honestly, today, we're recording on Tuesday, a day late, just a whole lot going on. Yesterday was a holiday for the office, but just had a lot of running around and things to get done, getting ready to leave on Wednesday, headed for Lake Jordan. But I've kind of felt like Santa Claus. I'm not going to lie. I am making my list and checking them twice and sometimes three times. I think I have checked the number of checks in my folder 10 times already, the number of backup checks 10 times already. We're packing up, satellites and iPads and drones and registration list and photo list, paper to put the team numbers on, our boat roll call list, making sure we've got pins, making sure we've got our sponsor table cards, earbuds, again, payroll checks to the anglers, and on and on and on. Everybody's got a hotel room. We've got all the earbuds, we've got all the cords, all the charging cords. It is quite the circus around the Alabama Bass Trail office today. So it is what it is. Every year, I kind of feel like Santa Claus and checking my list twice and three times. So, but we are looking forward to it. It is going to be a fun time down on Lake Jordan. We're going to talk a little bit about that when we have Mr. Luke Dunkin on in the second segment. Luke's going to join me. We're going to talk about a lot of things, not just Lake Jordan, but that's certainly the focus of this podcast. We've started at Lake Jordan several times throughout the Alabama Bass Trail history, and it always produces. And we're going to talk about some of the recent tournaments that have been on Lake Jordan, and man, have they produced. And the kind of crazy thing to me is all of the big bags that are coming out of Lake Jordan are spotted bass. We're talking 24-pound bags, spotted bass. We're going to talk about that in a little bit with Luke. So a few other things that we're gonna kind of talk about. A lot of drama kind of going on in the fishing industry. Is anyone surprised that there's drama going on in the fishing industry? No? Didn't think so. But we are going to talk about the latest Bassmaster Elite Series winner, Mr. Fisher Anaya, former Alabama Bass Trail angler, winning his second Bassmaster Elite Series down on Lake Martin. Just a really cool thing to watch. I didn't get to watch all the coverage, but I did watch a good bit of it. And to be able to see how he rebounded from probably a pretty disappointing Lake Guntersville tournament to turning it around and getting it done on Lake Martin. So we're going to talk about that and just talk about kind of the year that he's had. He'll be his next tournament will be the Bassmaster Classic up in Knoxville, Tennessee, where he qualified as a Alabama Bass Trail North angler. So we're very, very proud of that, as we were with Shane Powell and as we were with Jordan Wiggins, to have 3 out of the 12 anglers to come from the team series to go to the Bassmaster Classic, be from the Alabama Bass Trail. I think that's pretty impressive. And I'm not sure that there is another trail that can say that. So I may be wrong, and if I am, I'm sure Bass can correct me. But we're going to talk about Fisher, going to talk about his win on Lake Martin and some of the blowback that he's getting from forward-facing sonar. I don't typically join in the comment section on a lot of this stuff, but a guy just kind of struck me. Let's just say he pissed me off in some of the comments that he said. And I saw Jesse Wiggins chime in, and I know Keith Tripp chimed in. And I mean, this is what I got to say. Until you get there, until you get there, what gives you the mindset or the audacity to talk about how easy it is with forward-facing sonar? Because I'm gonna give you a little statistic that you didn't ask for, but I'm gonna go ahead and give it to you. About 335 teams on the Alabama Bass Trail out of 450 have forward-facing sonar. But funny enough, we only have one winner per tournament. Put that in your pipe and smoke it. I can't understand the hate. If you don't like the technique, if you don't like the technology, okay, that's fine. That's fine. But it's not like they're using something that is not allowed. I think you're going to find out over this year that Fisher can catch them with forward facing and he can catch them without. And if I'm wrong, I will come on here and say I'm wrong. But the amount of hate that kids like Fisher and Easton Fothergill take because of using a tool that is legal to use is unreal by people who will never get to the stage that they are on. Most of them will never win a club event, much less make it to the Elite Series. See, I'm already getting hot and bothered. Already getting hot and bothered over this topic, but we're going to talk about that with Luke as well. We're going to also talk a little bit about the dual threat fishing drama. Don't know a lot about it, just have what I've heard. I mentioned a little bit about it on last week's podcast, and I said, you don't know what you don't know till you don't know. And I really thought that the guys, gals, whoever was putting this on, maybe just got in over their head a little too fast, and maybe, because I admitted there was a lot of things I didn't know on February 1st, 2014 that I've learned since then. But it seems as though it has become a very, very, very big scam. Maybe one of the largest in tournament fishing history. So Luke, I know, did a podcast about that on Monday. Several other people have done a podcast about it. And I will say one of the biggest comments that I read in some of these comment sections is, how did you not know, dude? Like, there was no sponsors, there were no this, there were no that. Armchair quarterbacking, yeah. I mean, yeah, I can see where you get that. Um, but from everything I've heard is this guy was on the phone all the time and talking to these people and was very intentional with his scam. So, you know, it, it it's bad. It's bad for a lot of people. And so I'm going to talk to Luke a little bit about that. And then we're going to turn around and talk about the World Bass Enterprises. I know Luke also interviewed Mr. Bird on his podcast. I've read a lot of things about him, and I've also watched a couple of other podcasts that he's been on, along with some of the people on his team. We'll talk a little bit about that and kind of thoughts going into that, and how that is perceived between the BASS and MLF organizations as well. And then of course we've got to talk about the upcoming Bassmaster Classic with Luke Dunkin and the Fat Rascals, where they're going to be playing, the time, the date, and all that, because I do think it's a little bit different this upcoming year than it has been in the past. So we'll make sure that that we get all of that crammed in, and maybe a couple of other things that I might have jotted down on my list for he and I to talk about. But before I get Luke on, I do want to just cover a couple of things before we get to Lake Jordan. I know we have at least 45 new teams in the Alabama Bass Trail South Division this year. So before I get Luke on, I want to talk about this. You should have already received your email at 10 a.m. And if I have North Anglers listening, also please listen to this. Emails come out on Monday at 10 o'clock, always 10 a.m. If for some reason you didn't get your email, go to your spam folder before you text me because odds are it's probably in your spam folder. This is a very graphically, very aesthetically pleasing email. There's lots of logos on there, there's lots of graphics on there. So sometimes your filters at your work, especially if you're getting it at work, can kind of hide it. So just make sure that you look in your spam folder to make sure that you didn't get it. It's going to come from the Alabama Bass Trail Tournament Series, not from Kay Donaldson. And it always comes at 10 a.m. on Monday morning. So please make sure that you're doing that. On your boat numbers, we send those out on Monday at 5 p.m. No, I take that back. Monday at 7 p.m. So if you didn't get your text messages, in the South, we had two were rejected, two failed, one was rejected. So we only had three that didn't go through, and one of those has not gone through in 5 years that he's been fishing with us. We don't know what's going on. It just says it's rejected. So there's nothing on our end that we can do. The other two were people that we have new phone numbers for that we didn't have when we sent the text out. So everyone should have received their text. It comes from the 855-934-7425 number. So you should receive your text message on Monday nights at 7 p.m. Both team members should get that. It says in big capitalized fonts, do not reply. We use a third-party service to send those text messages out, and we never see your message until we log in to send out the next group of text messages. It's not a service that we use all the time. It's only for boat numbers, in case of inclement weather, to let you know we're going to be icing the boat ramps and when you can get on them. Different things that come up based on the different tournaments. It's not our phones. It's not coming to my cell phone. So please make sure that you do not reply to those. We will not see it. And if you think you're supposed to be putting in at Bonners and you've told us you want to put in at State Ramp, we don't know that. You must communicate that directly with John Simpson, whose phone number should be located on your tournament email. For those of you who've never fished with us before and maybe you don't have John's phone number, you should be able to find it on your email from 10 o'clock on Monday morning. Tournament Director John Simpson. That's who you need to be communicating that information through. All right. A couple more things about the Friday night meeting. Check-in starts at 4:30. We'll go 4:30 to 6:30. You will have an opportunity to make your team photo there. That will be on the live leaderboard starting at Lay Lake. We do have a member of our team that is in the hospital, so he's unable to get those photos loaded for Friday night, but we will have those available at Lay Lake. That will be loading on the live leaderboard as you see those. So if you're wondering why your photo didn't show up on live leaderboard at Lake Jordan, it is simply because we have a fellow team member who is sick and in the hospital, and I told him not to worry about it, that we would get it fixed before Lay Lake and to worry about his health. So if you have a question about that, that's why that's the way it is. The next thing is make sure that you bring your license and your fishing license to the meeting. We do always verify that you have a valid fishing license or a reciprocal license with the state of Alabama and that you have a valid ID. Also, I want to just remind you, for everyone who's new and for people who have fished with us before, remember that all tournament rules apply on Thursday and Friday, which are your official practice days. So make sure that you are abiding by all of those. And I'll just tell you, we fill out a permit for every tournament. The Alabama Law Enforcement Agency is aware of when our tournament is. They are aware of when our official practice days are, and they will likely be roaming around Lake Jordan. So make sure that you have proof of your boater safety course if you are driving a vessel. Make sure that you have proof of insurance and all of the necessary things that you should have in your boat. If you're not familiar with that, you can go to the Alabama Bass Trail website, click on the Lake Jordan tournament, and at the bottom there is a link to everything you should have in your boat to operate safely on Alabama waters. So make sure that you check that out. All right. I think that's all that I have that I want to talk about right now about Lake Jordan, just simply because we're going to talk about all that on Friday night. So, but those are just a couple of things I wanted to remind new people about. So, but we are going to talk to Luke Dunkin in just a little bit. He'll be joining us to talk all things Lake Jordan. And again, some of the other drama that's been going on in the fishing industry. And I really was hoping 2026 was going to start off on a better course and we were going to be able to leave some of the drama behind, but it doesn't seem like that is the case. So we're going to talk about it. We're going to kind of air some thoughts on it. Again, I don't know the gentleman at all. Don't know anything about him. Was not at the tournaments. Don't know anything about the tournaments. But we're going to talk about some of the stuff that Luke has uncovered, some of the stuff we've heard in some of the other podcasts that we've listened to, and you know, make our picks. As you can see at the ABT 100 at Smith Lake, we didn't know anything. So are we going to be able to give decent picks this time? Who knows? We'll see. But we're going to take a break, play a couple of commercials, and when you come back, you're going to get to see Mr. Luke Dunkin, the voice of the Alabama Bass Trail, in just a minute. You are watching and listening to the Alabama Bass Trail podcast presented by Phoenix Boats. Y'all stay tuned.
Big banks only care about one thing: ROI. So when it comes to your small business, you can expect a big no. At AmFirst, we don't just invest in your business, we invest in you and your goals. With great rates on loans, lines of credit to help you grow, and business checking accounts. Because at AmFirst, business is personal.
Welcome back to the Alabama Bass Trail podcast presented by Phoenix Boats. And as I promised you or warned you, I don't know which one it is.
What an intro.
No, the voice of the Alabama Bass Trail, Mr. Luke Dunkin. How are you, sir?
I am good. We are back. We are so back.
We are so back.
The gauntlet begins. As I told a friend of mine last night, as a matter of fact, on the phone, I'm like, we are. He's like, when's Alabama Bass Trail start back? I'm like, right now. We're
right now.
And to hit the ground running.
Dude, I said in the earlier part of the podcast, I feel like Santa Claus. Like I've got all my lists and I'm checking them twice and just making sure, it's a lot. It's a lot to have that break. And yeah, the 100, I kind of think is kind of like our practice run for the year, the setup and all the things.
I was gonna say, it's like spring training.
It is.
But it's like a couple days. We get in, we get the yips out a little bit, and now
we've had 4 or 5 weeks, and we gotta do it all over again with a much larger audience at the 225 boat level. So yeah, I'm super excited. Lake Jordan's always a fun place to kick off. You got to prepare yourself for a small body of water, all the things. Makes it a little bit easier on live. We can get to a lot of people really quickly because there's such a small body of water. We're going to talk about that. I know that you've got your picks and all the things ready, but we want to talk about a couple of things before we get into Lake Jordan. And first of all, Fisher Anaya, come on. What a last 14 months this kid has had. I mean, let's not even talk about the years before that when he started fishing in the 7th grade, but just the last 14 to 16 months. What a career he has had in those months.
Listen, my kids don't like Fisher, and here's why. Because I'm like, what are y'all doing with your life? Okay. Like my 18-year-old, I was like, what are you doing? What are you doing? He's down here winning Elite Series. He's been on this run. You like to fish. Why don't you like to fish? Like, why can't you be more like Fisher? Shout out to poor Hudson Duncan for taking a beating on that. They're just finding out what we already knew, Miss Kay. The world's finding out. But what a run. I can't imagine having that blue trophy on the shelf at 20 years old. It's a lot like when Trey McKinney won, right out of the gate. It is, you see veteran pros that go their entire careers and never get close to it or have a couple close calls and are never able to take one home. So it can't be stressed. Winning any tournament against stout competition is not easy, but it can't be stressed how hard those Elite Series events, BPT, those things are not. It's damn near impossible, for lack of a better term there. And to do it in your second one, I felt like they wouldn't escape Alabama without Fisher making some noise. Obviously, again, we've known this for a long time. I think at Gunnersville, and I know a lot of the keyboard cowboys, like, well, he didn't catch America's, you wouldn't know cheater box, like all the things. But he's a 20-year-old kid, not making excuses, but a 20-year-old kid that's fishing his first ever Bassmaster Elite Series tournament against Jason Christie and Gerald Swindle and Greg Hackney, and in a very tough Lake Gunnersville that week as far as water temperatures. I would dare say Fisher and a lot of the field had never faced water temperatures that cold. And, shout out to Hank Cherry for figuring that deal out over there. But still, 60 whatever third is not bad.
No, it's not. And when you talk about the water temperatures too, I was there on Friday and the wind itself was incredible. So I'm not making excuses, because I can tell you right now, Fisher Anaya does not want you to make excuses for him.
No, he don't need them.
If anything, that just greased the wheels a little bit more for when he got to Martin. So I said this in the earlier part of the podcast. Grown men and women that get online and bitch about something that is a legal tool to use. And let's say this. One of our best friends, Gerald Swindle, has been very vocal about forward-facing sonar, his skepticism on what is it doing to our fisheries and all the things. Gerald recognizes that not all fishermen on forward-facing sonar are created equal. Not all of them can see, like he mentioned, when Fisher shook it away from the smaller fish so the big fish could get it.
Yeah.
So he recognizes the difference in Fisher than some of the other competition, maybe including himself. But for Gerald, enormous respect for Fisher, and to me, that spoke to me, because I know Gerald's, I won't say his negativity around forward-facing sonar. I will say his skepticism around forward-facing sonar.
A lot of the veteran guys, and a lot of them are very dear friends of mine, and I get it. I love live scope. First of all, like I'm now listen, I'm gonna be throwing at them dots on that screen. I like it. Okay. I also like to go skip my jig and a buzz bait and do all the things I've always done, but I like to live scope. I like to shake them in her. Like I got one right there, just in case one comes across this screen, I'm gonna throw it. Like I like to shake them in her. I ain't hating on it, but the difference and just that old, it's very cliche now. Well, just cheater box and you got that and you can just catch them. And they said it about Trey McKinney and they said it about Easton Fothergill and all the young guys, but the veterans really are against it. Right. Because it has changed our sport. Like I agree with that. Like I cover as much bass fishing as just about anybody. Right. Like it has changed things. It's changed the age that we see people being successful. I think used to, if you were a 20-year-old first getting on the Elite Series, it might take you 2 or 3 years to get your footing under you to learn the lakes that a Gerald Swindle has been to 10 times that you've never seen.
Right.
They have an advantage over you in that situation. But now with Google Earth, with mapping, with live scope, with YouTube, with social media, these dudes show up knowing everything. There are no secrets anymore. So it's like giving Superman steroids, essentially. They're already really good fishermen, but then live scope takes it a step further. But I think what your average person don't seem to understand in the comment sections is 101 of them, we'll say 100, because John Cox, I don't think John Cox has it, but 100 of them in the field have live scope. There is a major difference in about 10% of those anglers when it comes to live scope and the rest of the field. Major difference. And there's no difference in that for me than Greg Hackney kicking your teeth in, flipping bushes, Gerald skipping docks, John Cox beating you sight fishing. Everybody has their skill set, and these younger guys, they have grown up with the technology, and I feel like I fished with Rob G about a month ago, and I've never had the opportunity to fish with side by side with one of the really good scopers. I haven't, and Rob is one of those. He made top 10 at Martin. Rob's fantastic, and I got to fish with him up here close to home, And it is like, I feel like I'm competent with it. Like I've had it for years. I know what I'm looking at. I know what baits to use. I feel like, but standing shoulder to shoulder with him, man, I'm going to tell you, it was like being in the boat with Gerald at Gunnersville fishing grass and him beating me 10-1 over the years because he sees little subtle things on Humminbird 360, or, he does something a little different with his chatterbait or whatever. But standing there with him, I'm looking at the same fish. We're talking through and I'm like, yeah, it's about a 4-pounder, right? Yep. I'm like, it was boosting my confidence and my scoping ability, so to speak. But they are so different. They are so different in what baits to pick up at what times based on what they're seeing from a fish and how, oh, well, that one reacted like this, or, oh, that one's positioned like that. Let me try this. Like it's the same as it's always been. It's just a little different because we're actually seeing the bass. So I get it. The argument's never going to go away. I worked for the MPFL. We banned it. It's fun. It's fun watching them figure it out. I like the break from it. Do I think it should be banned everywhere? No. You and I have talked about this multiple times. We have 13 regular events and then a championship. So 14 events in the ABT. They're rarely won with scope. We have 225 teams. We see a lot of scoping.
Oh,
we see a lot of fish get caught, right? We see a few events get won scoping, but out of 14, what was it last year? Maybe 2?
Yeah.
Maybe. ABT 100 at Gunnersville.
Yeah.
I would say last year. But even like Smith to kick off the year last year in the North wasn't one scoping. I think a couple in the top 5 were doing it, through or whatnot. But ABT 100 this year at Smith was one scoping. But half the people I interviewed in the top 10 don't want to shake your head, don't want to Carolina. So it does play. And I understand it's a very dominant thing, but it's not what people make it out to be. And also, I would say that I'm on a rant now, Miss Kay. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
It's a lot like the A-rig now. The A-rig should have been illegal for the first year, because if you threw it by a 5-pounder, it was eating it.
Yep.
You could throw it on 90-pound braid that looked like my daddy would throw it. It looked like rope. He'd throw it on a flipping stick and would just send me pictures every day. He went every day that thing came out. He thought it was the greatest thing in the world. And I went with him. And I'm like, holy crap. This is like below Wheeler Dam and Wilson Lake. I'll never forget. Like, we had 30 pounds like an hour. Like, we've never done this before. This is stupid. But then the next year, guess what? They don't bite it like that anymore. And I think scope fish are very much like that now too. They get messed with a lot. So you got it. Again, these Fisher and I's, Eastern Fothergills, so many Patrick Walters, Justin Hamners, so many Drew Gill. Another prime example. He's better than you at it.
Right.
He's better than everybody at it. So there's a skill set that comes with it. I don't care what anybody says.
Well, I know we had a veteran Alabama Bass Trail angler tell me a year or so ago that he had been on the boat with Wesley Gore, and he said he may be the best I've ever seen do it. Now, that's coming from a veteran Alabama Bass Trail, multi-time winner on the Alabama Bass Trail. And, I just think that it's a legal tool, and I could get it if it was that he's the only person that got to use it and everybody else had to go without it. I get an idea of, okay, you can gripe now, but it's a legal tool. I don't understand why working smarter, not harder. And I'm not saying it's not hard, so don't take it that way.
Yeah.
People act like that. I don't know.
Well,
a lot of it is not being educated on it and not ever having gone out there and done it. And I know that there's, YouTubers out there that are just diehard against it, because they can't go and win their local derbies anymore by, and all that. And that's fine.
Because 12 pounds don't win. 12 pounds don't win no more.
No, 12 pounds don't win no more. And
win
I get it.
Either.
No, I get it. But to sit here and just beat a dead horse is stupid to me.
Yeah. Well, and also too, let's look at the playing field of Lake Martin real quick too. And you and I know it very well. You know it better than I do. You've had multiple events there. I've fished a ton down there over the years, going back to my old Redman days. First Redman I ever fished was on Martin. Never seen it before that week. And it's not easy to catch 14 pounds there. It's not easy to catch 15 pounds. It's damn sure not easy to do it 4 days in a row for your weights to increase. So I think, and again, if you live in Texas and you look at the small weights and you're like, well, place is this or that, You don't understand how hard it is, whether you got scope, whether you got dynamite. There are so many bass the same size there. Separating yourself is almost impossible.
Almost impossible.
225 anglers, we'll see in April this year, we'll see 225 limits.
Mm-hmm.
Without a doubt. Like we will.
Unless somebody just doesn't show up.
Right.
That's the only thing that's going to keep us from seeing at least 220. I think the most we've seen is 221 limits.
Yeah.
But you have 150 of those that are between 7 and 9 pounds.
For sure. And, and to get that separation, though, on a lake like that, and again, everybody in the field other than John Cox had live scope. Okay. Yep. So what did he do that was so much like he was dialed in? He had a pattern within a pattern on where those better fish were, the cover they were on, the area of the lake, and he beat everybody. Like Brock Mosley said, "Hey, he beat me."
Yep.
And Brock was the lone guy, kind of fishing shallow, trying to make the Kobe Carton, Chris Rutland thing.
And Chris Rutland story come true again.
Yeah, for sure. And it almost worked. It did almost work.
Hey, I just want to say, Alabama Bass Trail guys going number 1 and number 2 in a Bassmaster Elite Series doesn't hurt my heart.
No.
I mean, all these other people want to talk. We've had 3 of the 12 from the Bass Team Championship go to the Bassmaster Classic. We had number 1 and number 2 on the throne at the Bassmaster Elite Series at Lake Martin. Speaks highly of the competition that you have when you come to the Alabama Bass Trail.
Yeah.
Well,
it's a pretty ground.
I am tickled to death for Fisher. I promise you, I think I have seen more Fisher and Aya stuff than I've seen Donald Trump lately. Like,
it's hard to beat right now.
I'm wondering if he's going to do a presidential run or something, because I literally have seen.
He got that mustache. He's trying to look a little older with that mustache. And I think that's why people are sharing him so much. The only person that's got a worse mustache than Fisher right now is Darian Craig. That's a sidebar. That's a whole other conversation for another day.
I have a feeling that's going to come up on live on Saturday.
If you don't shave before Saturday, oh, buddy, I'm getting canceled. Understand that. You'll have to cut the feed, because I saw him Monday and he got out of the truck and he walked up and I said, "What are you doing?" Like a concerned parent. I'm like, what are we doing? Why do you have this mustache? Sorry. Sidebar.
I love it. I can't wait. It'll be good to see all of you 3 back together again, getting the band back together, I guess. All right, let's move on to something else. Again, congratulations, Fisher and Aya. We are so proud of you. No, I didn't ask him to come on the podcast this week. Hey, I might next week with the Lake Gunnersville tournament coming up. Yeah, he's a former winner there. Give him some time. I know he's doing a ton of media right now that he 100% deserves. But I will say this, and I think you said it. They better watch out in that Bassmaster Classic.
Ooh, boy. Yeah.
I mean, so
him and Dylan Nutt. Those two
would be on my fantasy team for sure.
Yeah, if you're picking fantasy team, pick Fisher and one of the Nutt brothers. I can't remember if it's Dylan or Carter. And I'm sorry. If y'all are watching this, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Y'all look too much alike.
I was really surprised we did not see them on our North roster this year. I'm just going to say that. They must have a lot of other things.
I know they're doing the pro circuit and they're doing all the college stuff. So I think it's probably just I don't know the boys well, but I know that they and they were doing dual thread.
Yeah, I saw that.
They were.
Which is a great intro into our next rant that we're going to get on. I saw your podcast along with I've heard other podcasts. I've seen other videos and things that have come up. I saw Scott Martin's video. When we first saw this, I was told about it. Well, it was last year when we were down in Montgomery fighting the slot limits when I was first told about it. So that was last March. You didn't really hear a whole lot about it until actually our Smith Lake event is the first time I ever had anybody that I knew. No, Wilson maybe, because Briar Chambers came up and said that he was going to be fishing it. And I was shocked because I think at that point they had 348 followers on Facebook.
Yeah.
So I was like, is this really going to be a thing? I was like, okay, but in all honesty, and I said this in our podcast a couple weeks ago, you don't know what you don't know until you don't know it. So I give people some leeway with, okay, they're overwhelmed. It is a big job. When I stood on the dock February 1st, 2014 at Lake Gunnersville, I can tell you right now, I had no idea what I was in for.
Yeah.
And looking back 13 seasons later, there are still things that shake me that I'm like, you got to be kidding. We're dealing with this, we're dealing with that. And I've been in it 13 years and I was in marketing for 10 years prior to that. So, yeah, things come up. But this dual threat thing, dude, like I heard your podcast. I'm like you. I don't really know what his overall scheme was or what the overall scam is.
Yeah. I mean, he's obviously a thief and a crooked person to operate under a fake name that ended up being his son's name. And, he's going to have to answer for this stuff at some point because
Mm-hmm.
I think that obviously, uh, with, there are people that don't typically commentate anything, controversial in
Mm-hmm.
fishing. All of a sudden this week, they're even making posts about this. The,
Mm-hmm.
the same people that are normally like, you're such a hater, man. Quit being negative. Now they're making posts about this. 'Cause 2 weeks ago, I made a video joking about the fact that he said, "Hey, welcome to Okeechobee. Congratulations on your finish. Also, don't cash your checks." And I'm like, "What?" I start getting texts on a Saturday morning. And I think I text you. I'm like, "Well, guess what the word is on this?"
Mm-hmm.
And I made a video being a smart aleck. And man, I got hammered by some folks. And then I brought
Mm-hmm.
it up on the podcast that week and got hammered. People are just like, "Man, you're a hater. You're this." And I'm like, if it walks like a duck and quacks like a duck, it's a duck. Like something is not this. And again, I'm like you, benefit of the doubt. You
Mm-hmm.
know,
Mm-hmm.
ignorance is bliss.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I work with the guys from MPFL since they started. I know
Mm-hmm.
what we've been through, trials and tribulations. I know trials and tribulations you've been through. You said it best. You don't know what you don't know. I don't expect. I'm not going to be critical of a tournament trail that just starts out making mistakes because normal mistakes. Let me
Mm-hmm.
say that
Normal
because
mistakes.
they're going to happen. But when you're like, oh, can't cash your checks because W9, we didn't get W9s. What? That's weird. And then, well, also, then he tells 10 other people, the investor hasn't put the money in yet, but you'll have your check. Well, hang on. Is it W9s or is it that? Well, then the next week, the money didn't go in and they're told not to cash. And he threatens an elite series, Kyle Patrick, threatens the guy. Hey, well, the investor's going to be mad. He's going to kick you out for trying to cash that check. Well, he was trying to stop them from doing it because they were going to bounce,
Mm-hmm.
and he didn't want that lynch mob, essentially,
Mm-hmm.
the tar and
Mm-hmm.
feather, they're going to tar and feather him at the boat ramp. So then it turns into, well, I got to DQ 5 teams from Okeechobee. You know what, guys? I'm just going to start writing the checks after the events and you'll get your money back. And, but really the red flag for me before all that, and we talked about this at Smith, you and I, was again, that's when you really start hearing about it, was right before
Mm-hmm.
Smith. And then at Smith, we had some teams leaving, like, we're headed to Okeechobee, on
Yep.
stage. And all of them were saying off the record, hope the checks cash. Like there was this just, they didn't even know what they were getting into. They were like, man, this guy called and said he's handing us $100,000. We're going, baby. Let's go to
Mm-hmm.
Okeechobee. And more than not, they were saying, hope the checks cash. Well, he had been posting this thing, $5,000 entry fee per tournament. And then all of a sudden, 2 weeks out, no entry fee. Come on. And I'm hearing several high profile names I know are texting me like, you know anything about this? Like, this guy just called me, talked to me for 30 minutes. He's trying to get me to come to Florida. I'm not going, but like something doesn't smell right.
Mm-hmm.
And I had several good buddies that are veteran people in the industry on the pro fishing side, like, this is weird.
Mm-hmm.
This is weird. And he's giving everybody the same story. Oh, I ran tournaments on Watts Bar Lake in East Tennessee, which is an area I'm very well connected to. Brad Knight, Wesley Strader, dear friends of ours. They're like, we've never heard of this guy. Nobody up here knows Ethan Phillips. You Google him, you can't find him.
Right.
Look him up on social media. There ain't nothing there. There's no
Right.
Ethan Phillips that exists. And I don't know. So I was obviously skeptical from the beginning. And all these guys should have been too, to be fair. But I also, ignorance is bliss, as I said. And as a bass tournament angler, I love it. I get why they wanted it to be
Mm-hmm.
real.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I do
get
too.
it's the same as it's the same as them bot girls, them bikini clad bots that slide in the DMs of like a 60-year-old man. Like, what's up, sugar? What
Yeah.
you doing? They
Yeah.
probably scammed my daddy. God rest his soul. You know what I mean? Like he get fired up. Okay, and then next thing you know, you give him your social security number and your credit
Yeah.
card. She finna move here from,
Yeah.
whatever. It's 90 Day Fiance. Okay.
I get it. I get
So
it.
you ain't got no money, but you want it to be real. Like, hell, man, I ain't seen nothing like that in my life. Let's go, sweetie. It's the same deal. You want it to be real. There's part of it's like, maybe Katrina over here in Russia ain't real, but you hope she shows up at Christmas. Okay.
Hey, I'm pretty sure that the Dirks Bentley in my TikTok and the Riley Green in my TikTok DMs are not the real.
I see
I
more
mean,
celebrities have to say, guys, I'm never going to ask you for money.
yeah.
This is Jelly Roll.
Yeah.
I'm never going to DM you and ask you for a loan.
I'm
But
making bazillions.
Yeah.
I'm not, yeah. I get
there are
it.
people every day that are like, honey, Jelly Roll needs some money.
Well,
Give
and
me
I'm fairly certain that Riley Green is not combing through TikTok and hearing me play his music in the background and sliding into my DMs and
Thank
go,
you so much,
I
Miss
see
Kay.
you love my music. Thank you so much for being a fan. When can we hook up? That's not the real thing.
What's
Like,
up, girl? What's up,
I
girl?
hope to God my mind is sane enough.
But look, it happens every day,
Hey,
though.
I'm not going to say that I didn't like perk up when I saw it, but
I mean,
okay, I know this is
Sweeney,
not real.
Sydney Sweeney, girl, if you're watching this and you want to slide in them DMs, I'll call a triple threat. She'll understand.
Yeah.
All right. But she ain't going to DM me. All right.
Right. Hey, I can put Crisco all over my TikTok DMs if Riley Green wants to slide on in there. Because
Come on with it.
I'm fairly aware of myself enough that it's a bot or it's
It happens.
It's Joseph down the street that's just trying to, dick with my psyche here.
Nobody watched the dang show on MTV called Catfish. That's all I'm asking y'all. Dual threat anglers. Did you watch Catfish? All right.
Dude, I will say this. I feel terrible for those guys.
I do too.
For someone, and I say this every year, and my teammates give me hell about this, but someone who sets up late at night before the 11th, on the 10th of June, waiting for the ABT 100 to open, and on the 14th of August, waiting on the regular series to open, and worried about, did we do enough? Have we been enough? Have we proven ourselves enough to fill this thing up again? And I say this, and I think every tournament organization should go to bed the night before they open with those same reservations. Have we done enough? Do people believe in us enough? Have we loved on them enough? Have we proven ourselves enough that people will reinvest in us? And that is from the angler, that is from the host city, is that from the sponsors? I go to bed with that every night. I will tell you this right now. I talked to Daniel Montgomery last night as he was sorting through all the key fobs because, we're using 2 different boat ramps and it's harder to do it here, but it's always so good. But I said, Mom and Aunt Jean's not going to be there to do apparel. And, that worries me because they're just part of our team. And anytime we miss a part of our team, we got to step up and do other things. Right. And I worry about it every year. And I think that my encouragement to anglers is to fish with organizations who do that, who worry about, have they done enough? Have they loved on you enough? Have they given you enough? Have they proven themselves? When you have an issue, do they get to the bottom of it? When they have issues, do they handle it? Those are the things. Are we ever going to go without some kind of controversy? No. There's always going to be some type of controversy.
It's the world. Yeah.
But we don't ignore phone calls, and we don't ignore emails, and we don't ignore text messages. So that's what I would
ain't taking the money and going to Cancun, okay? I'll just say here, you ain't taking the money.
That depends. It depends on whose Facebook post you're reading.
I mean, we do call you Cancun K every now and then, but neither here nor there.
And I'm going May the 19th, but
But not with y'all's entry fee money. Okay?
No, not with your entry fee money. Not with your entry fee money.
What you're talking about staying up at night, I think it speaks to, I'm the same way. I was up at 4 this morning. We're headed in, the Classic's coming up. One of the companies that I own, we're going to have a booth there for the first time. It's nerve-wracking. Like I've got so many things in my brain. And then obviously NPFL championships next week, ABT starting this week, doing the gunner, like we got Gunnersville next week. I mean, there's so many things on my plate right now. And, I I've got to do a Garmin thing at the Classic. I'm doing my live thing. So I work, and I want to always pull off what I'm trying to pull off, like you said, and make people happy.
Mm-hmm.
And, give people, like, I've got people message me, man, what's your live thing? When's your live thing at the Classic?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I want them to have a good experience there.
Mm-hmm.
So but I'm a hard worker. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I'll pat myself on the back in that, and you
Mm-hmm.
are too. And that's the difference, though, in somebody that works very hard to scam or scheme people. And we've got a lot of those in this industry. They've always kind of been around it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Versus the people that are trying to deliver a product or give people a great experience.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that goes outside of fishing too.
Mm-hmm.
That just goes normal business. Like,
Mm-hmm.
don't do business with folks that don't care about the fact that you're spending money with them.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Well,
kind of my thing.
Well, I agree with you. When Angela came up with the idea to start doing some of these contests, like guessing the number of candy corns or whatever, I never did that because I wasn't sure I could pull off all the tracking of all those answers and all the stuff. And she's so good at that, And so, but immediately she calls me and says, "Hey, will you do a video and congratulate our winners?" And I love the fact that she wants to publicly do that because we said we were going to do it and we're going to do it. Right. And so I really, shame on the guy who pulled this off. Feel sorry for the anglers that were scammed by this. Hopefully, if attorneys and law enforcement are involved, this will come and he will be held. I don't know how you go. Don't know if this guy's got assets and property that they can get their money back or whatever. But I hate that it puts a scowl across the fishing industry. And I hope that people will understand that this is one or two or three yahoos that pull this off. And this is not a reflection of our industry. I told you the other day, like, we've kind of got some major announcements coming and I'm scared to death to make major announcements, because of this kind of
Darian.
Yeah.
Firing Darian over his mustache. That's the big announcement right there. He deserves it too. No, I want to say, I've been doing the podcast. Next year will be 10 years. I've been doing it since 2019 every week, which is a lot. It's a lot of bass fishing to talk about. And sometimes I don't always talk about bass fishing, but for the most part, it's all bass fishing. And, I think what hurts my heart, and listen, I'm a guy that I do make part of my living off the podcast and having sponsors that support it, and views are a good thing and all that, but I refuse to sell my soul for views. I've always been that guy. I don't care if 2,000 people watch this week because of something I want to talk about and 30,000 watch the next. That's fine with me. I don't lose sleep over that. But what does bug me is when situations like this happen. It's when you see people love the drama. Like it's where the spikes are at. Like this is one of the biggest shows I've done all year. And I'm like, man, that bugs me a little bit. Because, I had people in my comments that clearly they don't know me, and they're like, oh, you reading ad reads? And I'm like, yeah, I do that every week because people sponsor the show. Like, thanks for stopping by. I guarantee you I won't see you next week unless I do, and it bugs me because it's like a false sense of, and there are a lot of people, that chase those kind of views in fiction, and it's like, it's not real. You know what I mean? And it's not good. It's not anything that I want to be known for, essentially. And I know that people are like, oh, he's outspoken or he's this and that. But out of I think this week was like episode 356, maybe. And I've done more than that. But as far as since I've been counting, and I went to county school and I can't count very good anyways. But nobody's going to let me be there.
County school in Tennessee, by the way.
County school. Oh, you had to go there. Okay.
I got some Tennessee. Tennessee literature.
That's fine. Okay. I know you're a San Francisco Giants fan now. I'm aware. I know this goes.
Hey, I'm not so sure. Your new coach ain't bad looking either. We're going to talk about that here in a little bit.
That's what I hear. But no, I think that it's just, it does. I hate being labeled as that over the years because I have been very outspoken on several things. But if you look at 356 episodes, there have been about maybe a dozen where I spoke my mind on something. And you kind of get labeled as that guy. And it's like, actually, I started this podcast to tell angler stories and tell people stories and things like that. So it does frustrate me when I see the numbers go through the roof for all kinds of people bringing. But I will say on playing devil's advocate, this is one that everybody needs to be talking about because this son to be under the jail.
I agree.
Like he's a crook. I agree. So hopefully they'll find this guy.
Well, and I hope so too, because it has put kind of a negative eye on the industry overall. So I hope they do. Um, all right, moving on. But there was another announcement, and I know you did a podcast with Mr. Bird for the World Bass Enterprises. Going to be doing, I think, the Champions Tournament up in Tennessee on, is it O'Hickory? Is it
Yeah,
O'Hickory?
old
Okay.
stingy. Yeah,
Okay.
old
Okay. I
stingy.
couldn't remember. Um, you know, that came out during Elite Series practice at Gunnersville. Very, very kept under wraps, which props to his team for being able to do that. I know they're working with Excel Sports Management, great company. I've worked with other events that they've been involved with. So seems to be well put together as far as like
For
their
sure.
social media and their marketing plan and the website and how they plan on getting their anglers there. I know you questioned them a good bit about that and the sustainability of it, but then also just the execution of it, because
Oh,
doing a baseball event, and we dealt with this with our live stream team that we hired after Anglers Channel. They've done baseball, they've done basketball, they've done football, they've done all that. And I asked them, I said, well, put that on an aircraft carrier and then try to see how that
right.
works, because it's totally different. So doing a soccer tournament in one location is a feat in itself, but then to do a bass fishing tournament with everyone with their own individual sponsors and their own individual companies, and to do the expo and all that, it is a major undertaking. We see BASS do it, we see MLF do it, we see NPFL do it from the fishing aspect of it. They don't have a expo, but I mean, it's a major undertaking. It seems like he's got people involved. It'll be interesting, I think, once he announced who his tournament team's going to be, who's going to run his
Right.
events. So,
Well, and I asked him that on the podcast. I'm like, all right, I get it. Hey, Expo's going to be big. We're going to have concerts and fireworks and cannons and flyovers and all the things. But who's running the tournament part? Because
yeah.
I think sometimes those are the details that get missed. Like you can put on a big show, but if the tournament part is a disaster, and we've seen that at some big events in the last couple of years,
Well, I
like
mean,
there's
Ultimate Angler, when the announcer doesn't know
yeah,
the anglers' names and
right,
doesn't know that
right.
he's a
Like it's
Bassmaster Elite Series
yeah,
angler who's
that stinks. Yeah,
that's a major face
yeah,
in the industry, Lee Livesey. This is the thing I think they missed. And I said this to them. So I'm not saying
yeah.
anything on this
No,
podcast I haven't said to them, is you
of course.
can't just announce a big name that's been in the industry forever and expect him to be able to be a tournament director, because it doesn't work that way.
No,
Um,
it doesn't. And
it
again, it's that you don't know what you don't know until you don't
until you
know
don't know it. Hmm.
it is that situation. But after I talked to Brian off the record, and I talked to him on the
Hmm.
podcast, and I'll say this: I feel like he's been a very successful man. I think he's very ambitious. Like I
Hmm.
think this is obviously very ambitious, and I think in his heart of heart, like he wants to do this. Like there's no again it's like this dual threat thing, like there's nothing, like this guy doesn't he's not looking for people's money. He's
No,
not doing this to try to make money. Like he truly loves fishing. He wants to pull this off. Like he wants this to, and he does care about like he actually does. Talking to him, I feel like he does care about the anglers, and that's kind of where this is rooted. Now, execution's a big deal. I say this all the time. You and I have talked about this. Me and Brad Fuller from MP, got to stick to landing.
right.
All this is great in February and March and April and leading up, but like when you get the event, there are going to be hiccups.
Hmm.
You know that. I know
Hmm.
that. He knows that.
Hmm.
It's how you overcome them. There are going to be different things that pop up, and it's how you handle them. And like you said, you lay awake at night. Have we loved on them enough? Are we, what are we giving them? And I think for him, is the industry going to respond to another
Hmm.
expo?
Hmm.
Will the expo be well attended? That those would be for me, not being negative towards him at
Mm.
all.
No, 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 no.
That would be my concerns if I was him. That would be
Yeah,
what's keeping me up at night. Okay,
yeah.
well, art coming. How are we going to pull off a live production and we've never done a live production? Who's doing the live production?
Hmm.
Who's running the tournament part? These are all legitimate
Yeah,
questions and listen, they're working on this stuff every day,
yeah,
it sounds like. But what will the answers to those questions be?
yeah.
And I think you and I have seen and this is no knock at MLF necessarily, but like Red Crest is a big expo. They put on a big show. It's not well attended.
No.
Historically, it hasn't been. They've got some of the best anglers in our sport that are there. It's not well attended. Sponsors don't. People in the industry don't. It's just not been, because in the spring we all kind of, okay, check. We're going to the Classic, right? We're going to have a booth there for years. That's just been what we've all done. And then Red Crest is kind of on top of it. And I don't know if that hurts it. Maybe if it was in the fall, like Brian, the World Bass Enterprise deal is going to be, maybe it'd be better. I don't know. But I just historically keeping up with the sport, and I've been to Red Crest 2 or 3 times. You have as well. It's just not, again, not a knock. Nobody get in the comments, give me a hard time. Oh, he doesn't like MLF. It's just the truth. It's not been well attended, and it hasn't really mattered where they've had it. So that would be my concern for him, is like, you can have the most amazing marketing company, and he's got that. He's got the people doing that, work with like the NWTF convention. I went last week. Incredible deal. Incredible deal. They put on a great show. But you got to have, the fans got to show up. They got to want to be there. They got to have a reason to be there. And I do think he's going to do some unique things. I mean, he's trying to root it around country music. We all love country music, you know. But again, it's February. Who are your artists? Who's going to be there?
Yeah.
You got it booked yet? You know, and listen, these are conversations. I'm sure he's got that. He's not shared that with me. But I will say, if I'm going to have an A-lister, if I'm going to have Luke Combs, or if I'm going to have insert name
Miley
here,
Green.
I'm announcing it right now. In February.
Right.
Hey, these are the dates they're going to be there. So there's a lot to be figured out. But I like Mr. Bird. Talk to him a time or two, and kudos to him for. I mean,
well, everything you've read. I mean, everything you've read at night, he can sit back and, from just what I've read, I've not spoke to him, and there's no need for him to speak to me. I mean, that's not a thing. But based on everything I've read, he's given the anglers the love that they have been desperately asking for.
No doubt.
So there's no doubt in that. So no, I mean, it was an exciting shot. It kind of came at a bad time, you know, with all the negativity that's been going around with the other. But yeah, but no, I mean, from everything that I have read and found out and everything else, and I actually know some people that was in the business he was in the electrical business, and they spoke very highly of him, and so I'm excited, ready to see them start rolling out more and more and more on their social media, and I see that it's gaining traction quite a bit. So
for sure,
excited
he's got people's attention. And listen, like I told him, I'll say it right here again. I've told him this twice. You fixing to have a tournament in Tennessee, and if this low lifer ain't involved in some way, buddy, you dead to me. I already told him, you going to have the World Bass Championship in my backyard. You ain't calling me.
You over there trying to negotiate that contract, son. You trying over there. I hear you. I hear you.
I was joking. He's like, we're trying to get he told me some MCs, and I was like,
they're terrible.
What the heck are you doing, dude?
Have you not seen my production on the Alabama Bass Trail, dude? Have you not seen
from the Alabama Bass Trail? Because Miss K calls me the voice, Brian Bird. Okay. Brad
she
Fuller
also calls you some other things too.
I was going to say Brad Fuller at NPFL calls me a lot of other things, but Miss K calls me the voice of the Alabama Bass Trail.
Oh my goodness. Well, hey, look forward to seeing all the new and up, things coming up for them. So
I talked to him again this week briefly, and they're fixing to roll a lot more information out as they get and trying to figure this thing out. So, well,
I did see that the former Alabama Bass Trail fisherman Fisher Anaya was the next one to qualify. So,
and he's actually, Brian is sending, I think it's his son, Steven he's gone to, he went to
the events.
Get him on video. Hey, congratulations. Yeah. Like it's like kudos to him for trying that. Pretty cool.
Yeah, that's cool. All right, let's move on. I'm going to hold off on the Tennessee stuff and the Bassmaster Classic stuff to the end. Let's talk about Lake Jordan because, I mean, it is what we're doing the podcast about is Lake Jordan. So, dude, like the last 2 weeks, tournaments on Lake Jordan, Saturday and Sunday tournaments, it has been freaking insane.
They're mauling them, yes.
They are. And we are going to have a solid week of good, warm weather. Now, Saturday does not look great.
Yeah, but it's
It's
Sunday.
gonna be
Looks
warm.
worse, though. Sunday looks the worst, I will
Yeah.
say.
Yeah.
I'm glad it's not Sunday.
Yeah.
They should bite. They should
They'll
like
bite.
prefrontal. Like it should be good.
Yeah. But it's going to be another hat day for Miss K because it's going to be raining and crappy and all the things. But dude, like crazy weights. I talked to Lee Holmes, who ran Sylacauga last Sunday, almost 24 pounds to win, all spotted bass. You love it, don't you? Like
I'm like
your
I'm,
mouth just
I'm
kind
like shaking.
of
I
get a
want.
little tick.
I got too much work to do today, or I would hook up to the boat and go ahead and start heading towards Jordan. Just stop along the Coosa River on the way for the meeting Friday night. And I
For
will
sure.
say this on the record: I will be on the Coosa River somewhere on Friday for a couple hours, and it's not going to be on Jordan. I ain't going to interfere with nobody. I'm going to be on that Coosa River.
Yeah.
Understand?
Those Coosa spots I talked to Lee and he said it took over 19 pounds to get a check in 10th place.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
And I don't know what their boat count was. And again, there's been a Saturday, Sunday tournament on this lake for the last 2 weeks.
Yep.
And a name keeps coming up. His name is Dash Dawson.
Oh, Dash. I don't know Dash.
I love the name. I know him. I've met him.
I don't know Dash.
He is he's coming up a lot. Like he's won, he's been in second place. He's had over 20 pounds in every tournament that he's fished in the last 2 weeks at Lake Jordan. So of course he's gonna have a camera, or we're gonna have to track him. We're gonna have to know get more information about him.
Looking right here, well, yeah. So my little buddy Cash Olson that bought my boat, my Hawaiian buddy,
Yes, at Montevallo
Falcon. He had 21 pounds for second place on Jordan this past weekend. You can look right there. Cash, big old spot.
yeah. Okay.
But yeah, I was texting with Cash yesterday, and he said, "Buddy, it is something else down there." I was getting a little bit of intel from him. Now he's in Florida practicing for his next tournament. Them boys never stop.
Yeah. Well, airport and Sylacauga sometimes have that 80 to 100 boat feel. So that's kind of what we're looking at. 22 pounds at the Airport Marine Trail on Saturday during Valentine's Day. So they were showing some love. Chris Rutland had 20.14. Jason Hammaker fishes with us. They had just over 20 pounds. And then looking on down the line, James Willoughby in ninth place. He had 19 pounds. And then Richard McCurdy, who's going to be fishing with us this year with Sambo Fish, he had 1898. He had a 560 spot.
I wouldn't sleep for a week if I caught that.
How about this? The big fish on the largemouth was 532.
I love this place. I can't wait. And I was texting with the one and only Mr. Mark McKegg, and he said, "Dude, get ready. It's going to be crazy." And I'm like, "How crazy?" And he said, "I caught 18. I think he said 18. Oh, look, let me double check. I think he said 1870. No, he had 1833 by himself on Sunday, and he finished 14th. I mean, that's catching them. That's catching them at Lake Jordan.
Yeah, and he don't normally fish on Sunday either.
No. What was it? 15 pounds, like 50th last time we were here in February. So, I mean, I think, and you mentioned it, you're like, hey, we had the championship. The fish were a little poor in the championship, and it's fall. But we were very pumped up to see that February event 2 years ago. And now it looks like these fish are we've kind of had some brutal weather. There's been some shad kills. They're fat, healthy. It looks like the weights are going to be through the roof this week.
And I think we're going to see people go shallow too. I think this warm streak of weather are going to push those fish a little bit more shallow. You're still going to have 70 or 80 boats that are going to be sitting in the mouth and sitting in the main river channel. So going to be really cool to get there. Let's talk about who some of your picks are. Let's talk about your picks.
Feel like my picks, sometimes you can rinse and repeat in the South at
well,
times,
we proved at the
especially on
100 that we don't know anything. I mean, we didn't pick
Very
worth a
true.
darn.
But now listen, I'm never going to not pick Trace and Cole ever again. All right.
Yeah.
Ever, maybe. Them boys are catchers. But I didn't know that. Okay.
I didn't know that either.
I've done my research, but them boys are catchers. So I'm going, the band is getting back together. In the ABT 100s, we're seeing Zeke Gossett and Joey Nanai now. And Zeke Gossett and Ethan King, who won the ABT South Angler of the Year last year, they're fishing ABT South together again. I got to pick them on the Coosa. I'm never going to not pick them, whether it's scoping, whether it's in a foot of water. They're so good. They're so good. We spend as much time covering them as anybody because they're always in the mix. And they'll have something to say. Zeke just came off yet another big win. Talk about another dude on a roll, stays on a roll. Just won a big one 2-day down on Eufaula. Absolutely crushed them a couple weeks back now. Or was it this past week? I can't remember.
2 weeks ago. Who knew you could fish Eufaula
Yeah.
the first part of February and catch 29 pounds?
Unbelievable. But Zeke just stays on a roll. But I'm going Zeke, Ethan, Chris Rutland, Kobe Carden. I'm never going to, again, I'm sorry if you don't like me for these picks. Other anglers and people, they're always going to be in my top 5. We fish the Coosa River because they got all the trophies there for the most part. And they're the winningest team ever in the APT, right? So, and then after Mark McKeag, Tim Hurst, after Mark texts me that he had 18 pounds by himself, and he's the one that doesn't catch them in the boat when you watch them, right? Like Tim is the brains of that operation.
Ooh. Get in the comments, Mark. Get in the comments. I want that to be said.
I know my phone's going to ring, so I got to say that. No, Mark catches that by himself, but I will say this. So boat numbers have gone out, and Mark was texting me before they went out, and he said, man, I try to not just control the variables I control, the veteran thing. He goes, but boat numbers drive me crazy, blah, 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 blah. And he goes, I want a late boat number. He said, man, that's what my fingers crossed for. He said, because this time of year, I think they bite better in the afternoon. He goes, but normally I'll draw boat number 5 and have to go out early and come in. And he drew a late boat number. And he screenshot and he sent it to me. And he said, okay, I got my wish. No excuses now. I said, yeah, I don't want to.
What did he get? I don't even know what he got.
It was late. It was late, like maybe 200 or something. He got let's see, 191.
191.
Light 8. So 191. And he said all is right in the world. He said, I don't know what I'm going to use for an excuse now. I said, no excuses. You don't have an excuse, Mr. McKeag. So picking those boys, the Godwin boys, Noah and Cole, I remember us being there 2 years ago, my first event officially as MC, and I'm barely finished calling boat numbers. Jason Duran rolls up on the Godwin boys, and they are steady smashing. I'll never forget that. And I feel like we're going to see a lot of that again. And where those Godwins will get you is they're fantastic with scope, but they'll also get you with that swim jig up there on the bank too. They can do whatever. They won a lot on the Coosa, doing a little bit of everything. So, and then I'm going to throw you one that I got a butt kicking from in an ABT 100 on Jordan, and he fished with Clint Davis that day, if I remember right. Maybe he fished by himself. I think Clint was his partner. Lance Poe and Kevin Poe. So I started following Lance on. So I didn't know Lance. I met him, let him at the Lake Jordan ABT 100. He called him, but I started following him on social. And that dude right there, if there's a spotted bass to be caught, he's around it. And when it comes to Lake Jordan, I see his Instagram. He's winning some tournaments on Lake Jordan. He's in our field. I expect him to make some noise. And then this is a dark horse, not really a dark horse after what we've seen. And again, he's on an epic run that needs to be talked about a lot more. Hunter Davidson, Larry Davidson. So Hunter, ABT North Angler of the Year last year, Bryant Fikes. They won Lake Gunnersville last year as well. Just finished second to BFL in lay. He made the All-American, finished Logan Martin, the regional up there. BFL makes the All-American. I believe Zeke won it, but Hunter made the All-American. He's been on just an absolute tear. And I feel like this is kind of his deal. I think we'll see him have a really good week at Jordan. And he's another, listen, the young guys, he's a younger angler. They get blamed for the lives. They're only lives. I've watched Hunter. Hunter will do, him and Bryant, especially in the north, they'll do a little bit of everything. He's a Mississippi boy fishing the dirt. Like fishes, they fish shallow. So again, he can catch them either way. The only question I have with Hunter, I believe he's fishing the Toyota Series on Gunnersville right now. So how much time is he going to get to put in on Jordan?
Right.
We leave there, it's over Friday, show up for the meeting, basically.
We've got a few guys that's in that situation. I think that's going to play But no doubt, I'm sure their partner is down there fishing. I had basically the same guys you had, except I do have Dash Dawson and Leighton Brown, just because I've known Dash now for 6, 7 months. I met him last year when we were at the Alabama River. Kind of got to know him, started watching him on social media and kind of looking for him in stats and things like that. He's fished with Leighton Brown. I'm not familiar with him at all. They're boat 173, so they're going to have a long day as well. My thing with that is, can he navigate the 225 boat field and being a late boat number? Yeah, he's going to get to fish longer, but that's such a small body of water. So it's different. And we've said this before, fishing an 80 boat tournament on a 6,800 acre lake is whole different body than it is when you fish against 225 boats. So I think that's going to be his, maybe I'm wrong. I think that's going to be the biggest thing he's going to have to compete with, is just a flooded body of water with 225 boats. My dark horse, and I don't really know why I've got him as a dark horse, but they just had such a tear last year, Chase and Chad Schroeder.
Oh yeah, I had them. They're on my paper here, and
Yeah.
I swapped them with Hunter Davidson.
But was it Mark Poe? Is it Lance and Mark? Is that his dad's name?
Kevin. Lance and
Kevin. It's Mark is the Godwin brothers' dad.
Yep.
Okay, so Kevin saw me last year at the governor's conference in Gulf Shores, and him and his wife were having breakfast, and I was sitting across the way, and he spoke to me. And I didn't take me no time to look in his face and know that that was Lance Poe's dad. Because, yes, Lance used to fish. But you used to see Lance. I know he's got a baby, maybe 2 babies now. But I used to see him in the standings all the time at Lay Lake and Lake Jordan. I think that's a great pick. But Kevin came over and talked to me and was excited that they were in. And he said, really excited that's championships that you follow. But he knows well enough that he's got to get inside that top 75. So I think that's a great pick. They weren't in my top 5, but yeah, I think that's a great pick. You and I had everybody else the same except for Dash and Leighton. So, got any guesses? So, 21 has won 23 and a half, or almost 24 has won 22.60. What's your guess for the winning weight?
Well, I think with the warming trend we're seeing, even with 225 boats, fish are going to bite. We're going to be on the heels of this, this front coming through on Saturday. They're going to eat. I mean, so I'm going to say 22. I won't go as high as 23 or 24 just because of they're going to be splitting them up. 225 boats, but I'd say 22 pounds. You're going to need it. You're going to need that. And I'll even go further. We're going to see, I think 15 pounds this week will go down to, I'm going to say 60th place. I'm going to say there's going to be 60 teams that catch more than 15 pounds. Fish are going to be biting. I'm going to throw a scenario out, and somebody watching this probably going to go, please don't say that. We were there for the ABT 100 in January of that year, and it was warm. It had been warm. Then it got cold.
Had a cold snap, as it does.
For ABTs. But those fish, I remember that week, and it was the second week of January, they were trying to get up there, even though it was January. There were teams that caught those fish, friends of mine, that beat Little Trey, and I think we finished 21st in that event. Missed a check by one place. No big deal. It definitely doesn't sting. I think Gerald Swindle actually, and Ryan and I knocked us out of it. I don't think about that still. Can you tell? But those fish, we figured out a deal late in the day. Those big spots were starting to get up there on the bank. And talking with a couple guys after, they're like, man, I think they're trying to spawn. I really think that they were. Yeah, it's super, super early. But now we're not far away from March. Okay. You're on the heels of all this, brutal cold, now a super, super warming trend. I got a feeling that water down there is going to be in the upper 50s. Mm-hmm. There's going to be some fish about that deep. Mm-hmm. So I think this one's going to be lights out. And saying that, I think with 225, there's going to be fish caught from one end of this thing to the other, from this deep to the middle. And the tail rate, we're going to see a lot of things. I think you're going to see people catch fish on a buzzbait. I think swim jig's going to play. I think you could see them deep cranking. We've seen that. Now, there's going to be, you can do whatever you want to do to catch fish at Jordan this weekend.
Nobody wants to run out of power when they're on the water. There is a better way. Introducing the Charge Marine Power Management Station from PowerPole that does the work of 3 devices: a traditional battery charger, a charge on the run, and an emergency start system. PowerPole Charge.
Welcome back to the third and the final segment of the Alabama Bass Trail Podcast presented by Phoenix Boats. A couple of things I want you to know before we get to Lake Jordan. Make sure that you are watching to win, the Garmin Watch to Win. We are going to be giving away 3 Garmin units this year to people who watch our live, who interact with us on live, who share the live. We will be giving one out after the final tournament in the North Division, which will be at Weiss Lake, I believe. We'll be giving away a unit there, as well as one at after the South Division that we finish up at the Alabama River, and then at the ABT 100 when we finish up at Lake Jordan later on in November. So 3 units will be up for grabs, and you do have to participate in the Alabama Bass Trail Live on the water in the morning. So make sure that you tune in, make sure you're sharing and commenting. We're going to have lots of prizes in those lives that you can also win, whether it be Alabama Bass Trail gear, whether it be prize packs from different sponsors. So you'll want to make sure that you're tuning in and participating in those as well. Also, a new thing on the Alabama Bass Trail, you'll get to see this today, actually. Angela will be posting a list of teams that we have assigned trackers to, not teams that we've assigned cameras to, but teams that we've assigned trackers to. We'll let you vote in the comments of who you want us to chase first, and we'll send Jason, Luke, and Darian after a couple of those teams. So make sure that you're watching our social media pages. Again, it will be about 39 teams or so that we'll have already pre-assigned trackers to. We have up to 45 that we can assign. So you'll have an opportunity there to vote by name. So if you wanted, let's say, Zeke Gossett and Ethan King to be chased first thing in the morning, you just need to comment and let us know. We'll look at who we get the most votes for, and we'll put those guys on them. So that's a new thing for us. We're hoping, and this kind of came out of the ABT 100 when we had several teams listed, or several teams were mentioned in the comments for us to go and chase them. And honestly, the way we assign trackers and cameras are based on previous performances, not just in Alabama Bass Trail tournaments, but in tournaments held on the lake in recent days. So in the last 2 weeks, if we have a team that has done really well on this lake, we'll put a tracker on them so that we can go and find them. That's kind of how we do that. We don't typically put cameras and trackers on new teams in the Alabama Bass Trail unless we know some history on them and expect them to go out and do really well. We base all of that on previous history on this body of water, whether it's in the Alabama Bass Trail or in a different tournament trail. So if you've thrown out a name in the past and we didn't go cover them, it's very hard for us to cover them without a tracker unless we just run into them. And on Smith Lake, a little hard to do that. So that's how we're going to do it. We're going to let you vote for a couple of days. And if we have teams that are getting votes that we don't have a tracker on, we'll try to put a tracker on them as well. But we want to cover the teams that you want to see, but we also want to cover as many teams as we can. I said this in the podcast after Smith Lake. It is a lot more of a process than what you can possibly understand sitting behind your computer. There is a camera, there is a satellite unit, there is a backpack, there are life jackets that have to be on, the driver has to be ready, the cameraman has to be ready, the analyst on the water has to be ready. They have to look at their iPad, they have to find the location of the next person and then communicate that with the driver. So it is a process. And if it's windy, if it's raining, if it's severe cold, all of those things play into how quickly that analyst can get ready to go back live. So as much as we want to cover 100 teams, it's just not possible in the 4 to 5 hours that we're on live. And understanding on large bodies of water, we're not able to run 70 miles an hour. We're maybe able to run 55 miles an hour. because of all the equipment that's on board with those boats. So please be patient with us. We've got a lot of fun stuff planned for live, and I'm looking forward to it. So I just wanted to kind of make that known as to kind of how we go about doing that, how we assign trackers and cameras, so that if your favorite angler doesn't necessarily have one this time, it may just simply be that we don't know their history, and we haven't been able to find out anything about them. So please be patient with us. All right, let's see here where I am. All right, headed back to Wetumpka, Alabama for, I want to say we've been there every year but two on the Alabama Bass Trail. We've opened up there several times. We've seen up to 22 bags, over 20 pounds there on Lake Jordan. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Lake Jordan always pumps out big fish. The town, wow, since 2014, the town of Wetumpka has completely changed, and Elmore County has become a very vibrant area for economic development and tourism development. You might remember a little show called Hometown Takeover. The very first one was in Wetumpka, Alabama. And since then, 2021, it does appear that the whole landscape of Wetumpka has changed. More shops are opening, more restaurants are there. The whole atmosphere, it seems like, in the downtown has changed. So one of the things that we like to do is our partnership with the State Tourism Office is to give you some unique places to go and eat and enjoy while you're in town. So, of course, you cannot go to Wetumpka without trying Coach's. It is the place to go for wings and burgers. And yes, they have steaks, but it is a true bar and grill. The hospitality is fantastic. The food is always good, and the drinks are always cold. Love, love, love Coach's. Been going there since 2014. Always at least one day I have to go to Coach's. Another place that I found a couple of years ago that I really, really enjoyed for dinner was Coosa Cleaver. It is open for lunch and dinner. They are closed, I think, from 2 to 4, but it is a lunch and dinner place. Yes, it does have bar food, but it has upscale food as well, steaks, different fish, things like that. So really cool place, great vibe right there in downtown as well. Our place cafe for dinner, it's only a dinner spot, so but you're supposed to be on the water anyway, so you're not supposed to be out for lunch. But a really cool place, upscale dining atmosphere. The food is fantastic. Everything I read about it is chef's kiss. So make sure that if you have time to go to a really nice dinner in Wetumpka, that you take a look at it. The Taste at the Fane, it's also a dinner place. It's a little bit more upscale, but great food, great atmosphere, great drinks. Just a really, really, really cool vibe. All of these new restaurants, I think, are really appealing to the traveling audience. So I'm excited about that. Hold on just a minute. I had somebody trying to call me. I thought I had all of those turned off, but and then one more place, and it is Wow on Bridge Street. This is a new restaurant that really was being built when the hometown takeover was taking place. So I've not been there yet. It is a lunch and dinner place. So I'm hoping to hopefully get by there one day while I'm there, to be able to sample lunch. I know dinner is going to be kind of tough. So I don't think I'll make a dinner, but I am trying to get by there for lunch. We do have, I know Wetumpka Marine is doing an open house and a welcome for the anglers, Alabama Bass Trail anglers, on Thursday night. I don't know the exact time for that, but I know they are doing that. I will be over there for a little while. Mr. Larry Puckett with Puckett Chevrolet will be there. I'm going to go by and see those great folks and get my truck serviced while I'm down there. And it's always good to hang out with Mr. Larry Puckett. He is a lot of fun. Brad Stevens from his office, and then his grandson, who y'all heard a little bit about in our talks with Luke Dunkin, Mr. Dash Dawson. He joined the Alabama Bass Trail this year and has won a little bit of money over the last few weeks down there on Lake Jordan. So they will all be there. We're looking forward to being there. I will give you a little sad bit of news. Mama and Aunt Jean will not be at Lake Jordan. My mom is a part-time caretaker for her dear friend, and so not doing so well. So my mother is is doing duty with being a part-time caretaker for him. And so she will not be able to be there, and Aunt Jean is lending her a hand. So we'll have Tamara and Emma there doing merchandise, as well as maybe Taylor. Maybe Taylor will make a showing there. So, but I do hate that Mama and Aunt Jean won't be there. I know Mama really hates to miss it. I don't know if Aunt Jean hates it as much as Mama does, but I know Mama does. I talked with her today, and she really hates to miss it, but she is needed to help take care of her friend, and I admire that about my mama. She is a great, great, great person. So hopefully we'll get to see her at Gunnersville. So, all right, that does it. I know it maybe ran a little long. Luke and I tend to get off on other subjects and all the things, but hopefully you got a little bit out of this podcast. We look forward to being at Lake Jordan. It's just 3 days away. 3 days away, and we will be down there on the Coosa River and talking all things bass fishing on Lake Jordan. I do hope that we have a Trip Weldon sighting. I did see a couple of pictures of him at the Bassmaster Elite Series over at Lake Martin, but hopefully we'll have a Trip Weldon sighting there at Lake Jordan. You know, sadly enough, I think a lot of us appreciated Trip, but sadly enough, I don't think we appreciated him enough until he decided to retire. The fact that he always either takes my call or calls me back is the biggest compliment I could ever have in life. And I look forward to seeing him and hopefully Miss Mary. They'll drive through on Thursday and see me like they normally do when we're setting up the camper and all things. So, guys, thank y'all so much for tuning in. And I know we've been a little off with our schedule for the podcast. Just kind of hard with 2 full-time employees trying to get everything done and trying to be out in the communities as well. So thank you for tuning in. I do hope that you will get out and enjoy the great outdoors in the great state of Alabama or in your great state. We've had some great weather so far this week. It's going to be a very nice weekend. Looking forward to having a decent temperature out there when we're calling out boat numbers. Make sure that you hug your mom and them. Make sure that you love on those fur babies and slip them a little extra chicken jerky or whatever their favorite treat is. And if you are looking to travel to the state of Alabama and get outside and get outdoors with us, drop us a line on the Alabama Bass Trail Tournament Series Facebook page or send us an email. We'll be happy to give you our recommendations of places to go, places to see, things to places to go and eat and all those things. So we love our partnership with the Alabama Tourism Department. Lee Centel, who will be retiring in December, grateful for him and all that he's done to make the Alabama Bass Trail successful. So if you need recommendations from north, south, east, and west for places to go, see, things to do, and places to eat, drop us a line. We'll be glad to help you. Thank you so much for tuning in. And as we always try to say, God bless, great fishing, and get outdoors. Y'all, have a great one.
Thanks for listening to the Alabama Bass Trail Podcast. To learn more about the Alabama Bass Trail, make sure and visit alabamabasstrail.org.